We're back to the Neil Haley Show. And again, we want to thank Daniel Facina for the Power of Testimony event on September 12th in New York. And can't wait to go there. I'll be at the event as well. Tickets are available at events.artofheaven.com at Shelter Rock Church in Syosset, I hope I'm right, New York. And our guest today is Kamal Saleem. And always Mike Velarde talks about you, Kamal. Kamal was on my show years and years ago when I was still the Total Education Hour and all these different things. We're bringing the band back together. So Kamal, welcome back to the band and welcome back to now to the Neil Haley Show, where we're kind of diving into your story and we're just going to go to your testimony because that's what's big about again September, but you can talk a little bit about your background and what you've been doing since last when I talked to you about 13 plus years ago, and then we'll go right into your testimony.
Absolutely. Neil, it's awesome being with you, and thank you for what you do, and thank you for having me today. We are in a critical time in our life that we have not seen before in our history and time. We saw the rise of Islam several places in the history of our world history, but we saw the last fall during World War II. The Ottoman Empire fell, and so the Japan and Germany, and so the West were able to win and move forward. The Muslims have not forgotten this, and they know that what stands in front of them is the great Satan, the United States of America, and the small Satan, Israel. So their goal is to destroy the West utterly in revenge of what they did to them back then. So, and as we look at all this, we see, Neil, that these people are focused specifically on how they can deceive the culture and destroy it from within instead of from outside. Because after 9/11, America contended with them all over the place, but now they are taking it from inside the place, greater level than 9/11.
So talk about what you learned because let's hear your story, and that's the testimony now. So you've been out there doing it since then. Now you're seeing, I can't believe where we're at after 9/11. And again, isn't it crazy and so real? 9/11 is one day before the event. I
Yeah.
still can't believe I'm going to be in near York at that time. I remember in Pittsburgh when the twin towers were hit, and I was literally, and it's like gives me chills to think of how many years ago that was, but we have forgotten, and that's the sad thing. But let's go to your story.
So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, to a Muslim Sunni family. I was recruited by the Muslim Brotherhood at the age of 7 in the mosque. A mosque that's what a lot of American people think it's a temple. A mosque is a fortress to advance Islamization within a nation, because Islam is not a religion. Islam is a political system, military system. It's a system that pretend up front to be a socialist, to be fair like Christianity and Judaism, but ultimately, Islam it is not a religion. So I was recruited by the Muslim Brotherhood after the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1924. The Muslim Brotherhood rose in 1928, 4 years later, to replace and bring about back Islamization, world Islamization. And what we're seeing today is the same agenda that started then and has arrived to the shore of the United States of America and the West. So I was trained as a child and with them about stealth jihad, how to infiltrate culture, because the strength of the Muslim Brotherhood is to infiltrate culture from within and change the culture to Islamic perspective and dominance. And then at the same time, the group of Fatah, which is the Yasser Arafat, came about and talked in our mosque, and they said Islam is weak religion and has no power unless it takes on the sword. Without the sword, Islam will never be able to accomplish what they need to accomplish. So the whole Brotherhood group, we joined the PLO, and I became a member of the PLO at that time under Yasser Arafat. He was one of my teacher, and I shot my AK-47 at 7 years old. And then I did my first mission to Israel. I was 8 years old, carrying weapon caches and an explosive to really for the martyrs or fida'iyyin to go and bomb their self-killing Jewish people. This is how it's all started. And the operation was so successful that Yasser Arafat was friend of Hafez al-Assad, dictator of Syria. Dictator of Syria opened the Golan Heights, and now we were doing operation from the Golan Heights, which is the Israeli never knew that children can do operation like this, nor did, so it was a deadly operation, and that changed the perspective of my life. And, but ultimately, I was working with the Saudi, and the Saudi, through the Muslim Brotherhood, I was sent to the United States of America to infiltrate the United States of America from within, basically bringing about stealth jihad. And our job is to change the seventh sphere of power in the United States of America, from family structure, educational structure, religious structure, financial, governmental, all of it. So, and we understood that the fight has to take place in high places and not in the low places. So we were infiltrating United States of America with a mighty dollar, and so a lot of the politicians were selling their own families for the glory of their own wealth and to do what they have to do. This is how it's all started, Neil.
Wow. Okay. So can I ask you this question before we go into the testimony? Because again, people listening to this podcast might say, okay, Islam is not a religion. Do you feel Muslim is a religion? So what's the difference between Islam and Muslims?
A Muslim is a person who follow Islam. Islam is the jail system. Muslim are the prisoners. So Muslims have to operate in the religion of Islam to fulfill everything that Islam told them from da'wah. Da'wah is to bring about the mandate, to bring about Sharia. America could not be brought down by bombs anymore or airplanes, but it will be brought down when Sharia is signed into American Constitution, just like what happened in England, just like what happened in France, just like what happened in Germany. When Sharia becomes sovereign, then the Muslims start operating in the law of Sharia against the nation, and the nation starts falling apart because now it's divided culture. So, and that's the difference between the two. So, my heart desire is to set my people free, the Muslims, set them free from the oppression and really that deceptive ideology and system of Islam, which is hide behind socialism and equality and fair justice until they become strong. When they're at 2%, they operate in a deceptive way that we need all this. But when they become 5% and higher, they start taking over the culture, as we see them now doing in the United States of America.
Which happened in Europe before, and that's that, and now we're seeing it in the United States. But let's just jump to specifically your testimony now. How did you leave being a Muslim to become a Christian?
My commission in the United States of America was school system. So we really concentrated on the school system, and really we're looking for Americans that they are weak. So we can just sign them into Islam and whatsoever and use them against America. And that's our greatest power. The second one, using the politician and also the professors in colleges. And after that, we were also commissioned into a poor neighborhood and a jail system, because that's where the greatest recruitment will take place. And you get people out and you take them halfway houses, and Islamization of America begins from there, and which is Islamic halfway houses. And so one day I was working, we worked through units in the United States of America. So there were thousands of units all over the place. They're called cell, and nobody knows about the cell except each leader knows one cell leader, and we chain together throughout the whole thing. And here we are working and doing what we're doing one day, and I get in a car wreck. The car wreck was so severe, Neil. My car got broadsided by an 18-wheeler that I ejected out of my car, breaking my car in half. And I went up in the air and fell down and cracked my neck in two places. And I cried, Allah, where are you? And Allah that didn't answer because Allah does not speak. Allah is not looking for a family. He's not looking for followers. He's not looking for sons and daughters. He's looking for slaves. That's the only way that Allah, that's according to the teaching of Islam. And so therefore, I cried, Allah, where are you? And Allah didn't answer. And this man came, he had blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair skin. And he called me son. And he took his t-shirt off and dried the mud from my face. I still remember until this day, I fell on my head, cracked my neck in two places. And so he said, son, we are going to take care of you and everything's going to be all right. So now his brother calls the ambulance. I'm going to the hospital. The orthopedic surgeon at the hospital tells me, he calls me by name. He said, you have no friend, no family, no phone, no insurance. He said, but son, we will take care of you and everything's going to be all right. And that scared the light out of me, because they're saying the same thing. And that has to be demonic for me as a Muslim, if that make any sense. It's because they're talking the same language. And so, do you want to say something, Neil?
No, I'm just amazed by the story because guess what, Kamal? I had you on a topic. I never knew about this story of you breaking your neck. And so were you close to near death when this
Uh,
happened?
I was totally out because I broke my collarbone. I broke my rib cage. I broke my side. One side was really hit hard. And but I wake up in the hospital the second day, and I have all this white stuff, just fluffed everywhere, like in prison, concrete all the way around me. And this doctor comes in, and he's the head of physical therapy, and he tells me the same thing, Neil, word for word. He said, son, we are going to take care of you and everything is going to be all right, because, you have nobody, but we'll, and I didn't understand who are we and who are we going to take care of you. And after that, they came to the hospital. The three men that helped me, they came to the hospital to visit me. And one day the hospital was going to discharge me. And now these men were fighting who's going to take me home. And I didn't understand why these men want to take me home. And they had a great love and for and respect for each other. And all of them are top business people and successful businessmen. And now the orthopedic surgeon said, I have to take him home because he needs help and nobody can take care of him but me. So and I'm going to his home, and my life was taking a different route and I'm changing. And that route is I'm about to discover something that I have not seen. I was so blind, to see it, but now I have no other way but to listen to it. And that was to see how they lived their life, how the man treated his wife, unlike, how the Muslim man treat his wife, and how the wife treat her husband, and how they teach their children to be honest, sincere, successful business people, this and that and the other. So it was changing my world. And I did not read the Bible, but I was watching the greatest Bible ever in my life that walked before me. And that's how they lived their life. That was greater than they told me who they are. And so, and I discovered something that they have this love. It's called unconditional love. In Islam, everything is conditional, but these people were very unconditional. So the story led me to these, they put me in the choice room. They fed me, they took care of me until I got on, I was getting on my feet. And then these people loved me so much that I started falling in love with people that I hated.
Hmm.
Because these people, I mean, In Islam, we are commanded to destroy Judaism and Christianity, to destroy these two people group, kill them. And now these people are loving me to life, and I didn't understand who they are and what they are. And then when I saw everything that I saw, one day they opened up, the house opened up, 60 men walked in, and these men were Christian businessmen. And they came to a room, and they were sharing with each other their issues, their marriage, their life, their businesses, and they were helping each other. But they put me in the middle of the circle, Neil, and they prayed for me that night and put a basket, big basket, and it says for Kamal Saleem. These men were putting checks, cash out of their pocketbooks that they probably could have used it for something else to set how much I owed free and to set me free to pay for my next move. And I didn't understand why would they do such a thing to me. I never did anything as a favor for them. So I was seeing something greater. And one day they had Jewish people come into their home, and I'm going, oh my Allah, these people are, they love Jewish people. So, just like can we kill the Jews and keep the Christians? Because I didn't love the Jew at all. And I realized that the Jewish people really had the best, the best thing for the Muslim people. They want to be friends with the Muslims. They want to help the Muslims. But the Muslims continue fighting with them because of their religion, Islam. And Islam says, kill them. So here I am one day, they set me free to go home, and they gave me the keys to the house. And now I went home in my new car that they bought for me. And when I arrived home, Neil, I know that I was defeated, and I was standing between two giants, the giant of Islam and a giant of, Christianity, Jesus Christ, and go like, wow, this is absolutely, a nightmare for somebody like me. Do I go back? Do I move forward? So I thought I'll put Allah to the test. So I fell on my knees toward the eastern window, and I cried out with a loud voice, Allah, Rabbi wa Mawlay, Allah, my Lord and my King, why have you done such a thing to me? I fought for you all over the world. I've done things for you nobody would do. The civil war in Lebanon, mission to Israel, battle in different nations, and why did you put me among Christians? I'm confused. These people, they have relationship with their God. Their God speaks to them. Their God tells them to love their enemy. Their God tells them to help others, and here I am, I'm standing before you. If you are real, all I want to know, if
Right.
you're real, speak to me, and I will kill more. I will fight more. I will do anything you want me to do. Guess what Allah said, Neil?
What?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. So you were able to hear Jesus, but
Yeah.
you were not able to hear Allah.
Well, here I am on my knees asking Allah to hear about him. And when Allah didn't answer, I thought my life story was a scam, that everything that I've done, I was the joker and the joke was on me. So I thought I'll go ahead and put the gun in my mouth and finish my story.
Oh no.
As I'm doing this, I heard a voice for the first time in my life. And first I thought I was hallucinating, but the voice called me by my name. He said, Kamal, my son. 3 times he said, Kamal, my son. I am the God of Father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. He said, call on me. And I didn't know what that meant, but when I heard his voice and he knew me by my name and he called me his son, I was looking for my father, for my identity, for my peace, for my inheritance, for somebody who doesn't, is not lying to me. And so I fell on my knees and I cried out with a loud voice, God of Father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, if you are real, speak to me. God of Father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, if you are real, I want to know you. Well, the Father voice dissipated, and Jesus stood in a room there in the presence of his glory, dressed in a white clothing, has a Jewish tallit on his shoulders. had holes in his hand and his feet, and he stood there, and the heaven and earth moved with him. He was the center of all elements. He shifted the element, and the element where they knew who's the creator. And all of a sudden, I saw the host of heaven upon him, the power, the glory, all that. I'm going, oh my Allah, this is Jesus. I knew who he was, even without saying his word. And I fell on my knees before him. I said, who are you, my Lord? He said, Ana huwa, I am he. He spoke in Aramaic, and I understood every word he said.
Mm.
And he said, I said, what is that supposed to mean? He said, I am the Aleph, I am the Tav, which is the Alpha and Omega. He said, I am the beginning, the end. I have known you before I created the foundation of the earth. I have loved you before I formed you in your mother womb. He told me that he is the creator, that he is my God, and he's the one who called me by my name before creation and after I was born. And now he said, Kum, Kamal, arise. That's what Kum's, our ministry is called Kum, which is arise. And that's the Lord of the resurrection, Jesus Christ. So I rose up. My neck was totally perfect. My collarbone was perfect. My ribs were perfect. Everything that was broken was totally healed. And I thought that was great miracle. But there's something happened to me, Neil, that day. That thing in my heart, the deception, the ugliness, the lie, the murder spirit, everything left me, and I found my freedom for the first time. I felt like a feather that I can fly. I cried with a loud voice. I said, my Lord, I will live and die for you. And he said, do not die for me, Kamal. I died for you that you may live. I said, my Lord, give me permission. By the skin of their teeth and by their eyelashes, I will make them Christian. And the Lord said, the harvest is plentiful. The workers are few. Be an ambassador of mine. So I cried out to the Lord. I said, Lord, but you know my past. And he said, yes, but I know your future. And so therefore, I came to know for the first time that the difference between the two gods are not the same God. One God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. One God hated the world that he gave a man to become, he's an orphan man. His name is Muhammad, and commanded him, to kill humanity. This one gave his life. This one took nearly 2 billion's life. This one healed the blind. This one told the blind he could not use them. This one told the prostitute, go sin no more. This one stoned the prostitute. He was the first one to cast the first stone. So all of it, I was looking at everything, and all of a sudden, I found my freedom. And now I'm set free. You go like, come on, isn't that prejudice? Now you're Christian and you hate the Muslim? Absolutely not. I love my Muslim family. I believe my Muslim family will make a perfect people just like me. What's the perfection? Is they delivered now from being slave to work and work and work and offer their life as sacrifice to obtain heaven. And now heaven is given to them through Christ Jesus, and their perfection will be to rest in Christ. And that is my story.
The story is unbelievable. And that's why you're out there telling this story, because of what you went through. And how did you kind of become who you are, author of all these books, all these different things? We only got a minute or two to go and explain that.
I have no education whatsoever. And after I went with God, I started getting the understanding, the wisdom, the ability. So I was doing all this. So I started traveling all over the world to help people in Europe, in the Middle East, Africa, every place to help them to know the truth and find the truth. And I'll tell you what, every place I went, he was there. And now he's appearing to the Muslims. 6 million Muslims come to Christ every year. Jesus Christ is appearing to the Muslims. 5 million Muslims in Iran alone converted to Christianity. And now Muslims are converting all over the world. Indonesia, one third of Muslims converted to Christianity. We are in a time that we have not seen anything like this. The enemy is doing revolution against the West, and God is doing a revolution to save the Muslims.
It's unbelievable story. Best place we can find information on you, Kamal. Where can we go?
Our website is koomministries.com. That is Koome, Koom, next word ministries, plural.com. No spaces. Koomministries.com. That's Koome ministries, plural.com. And you can talk to us from there. You have an 800 number to call us, and everything that we do, you'll find it over there.
All right. You can just check him out. He's going to be at Shelter Rock Church in Syosset, New York on September 12th. Power of Testimony event. Go to events.artofheaven.com. Appreciate it, Kamal. Thanks again.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for having me.
That was the Neil Haley Show, guys. Take care.